Having departed from Mount Sinai and organized themselves, the Israelites traveled to the very border of the Promised Land, to a place called Kadesh Barnea. They stood on the precipice of their destiny, a mere 11 days' journey from the land flowing with milk and honey. The people requested, and God permitted, Moses to send out a reconnaissance mission to scout the land of Canaan. Moses selected 12 tribal leaders, one from each tribe, to spend 40 days exploring the territory. He instructed them to assess the fertility of the land, the strength of the inhabitants, and the defensibility of the cities, even urging them to bring back samples of the produce. After 40 days, the 12 spies returned, bringing back a gargantuan cluster of grapes, so large it had to be carried on a pole between two men, a tangible testament to the land's incredible bounty. The report was mixed. "It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit," they proclaimed, fulfilling God's promise. However, 10 of the spies immediately shifted to a report driven by fear and unbelief. They emphasized the negative, speaking of the formidable inhabitants, the sons of Anak, whom they described as giants, declaring, "We were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." They convinced the masses that conquest was an absolute impossibility, painting a picture of slaughter and defeat. The entire congregation descended into a night of weeping and rebellion. They refused to trust the God who had split the sea and rained bread from heaven, crying out, "If only we had died in Egypt, or if only we had died in this wilderness." They then proposed to elect a new leader and turn their backs on the Promised Land forever by returning to their former slavery in Egypt. Only 2 of the 12 spies, Joshua and Caleb, stood firm. Tearing their clothes in distress, they pleaded with the terrified people, proclaiming that the land was exceedingly good and that the people of Canaan would be easily defeated because God was with Israel. Their message was one of pure faith. "Do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection has departed from them, and the Lord is with us." The people, however, were so overcome by fear that they rejected the words of Joshua and Caleb, threatening to stone the 2 faithful leaders. Because of this profound act of faithlessness and rebellion right at the border of their inheritance, God's judgment fell swiftly. He decreed that not one adult of that generation, 20 years old and upward, who had complained and refused to follow him, would enter the Promised Land. Instead, they would wander in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days the spies spent scouting, until the entire rebellious generation had died off. Only the children and the 2 faithful men, Joshua and Caleb, would be permitted to inherit the promise. This decree transformed the short journey into a lengthy, punitive exile that would consume the next 4 decades.